Everybody, I wasn't just talking to myself here.
Yeah, because I forgot to plug in the microphone.
We take a 2-week hiatus, and Biz forgets to plug in the audio.
Yeah, I'm just that bad.
But guess what? Y'all just get me and Biz tonight. So we're ready to rock and roll. We're kind of excited about this. We haven't done this since the very first season. I mean, it's been a minute since you and I did this with everybody else to where they can, hop on here. Whoever comes on tonight, feel free to chime in. I'm mainly going to be watching the Facebook stream, so if you are watching on YouTube, jump over to the Facebook. If you're not getting any responses, I'll try to bounce back and forth, but Biz's computer is on the other end of the table.
Way down there, so I'm gonna be peeping at it from here to make sure the signal doesn't drop. I have to do producer duties from way over here.
Yeah,
I can do that though.
We'll make it work.
We'll be all right.
We can handle this. I think we're professionals
so.
now.
Yeah, because we've been doing this shit for like a year and some change. So I guess we know what we're doing.
Well, we're on season 2. We're not quite to a year yet.
It feels like
it feels like it though.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good with it. I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, cool.
Well, how you doing, man?
I am tired.
I know.
I am tired between the whiskey workout program, which is held. I'm more tired of all the accountability. The workout is the easy part. It's Alex getting in your ass when you don't log this right, when you don't do. And it's not a bad thing. Don't let me look at bad. Like I said, I work out and do all the gym stuff for years, but having somebody actually hold you accountable, having somebody educate you how to eat when you wanna, it's cool how he does it. Like, yo, man, he said, what'd you eat today? I said, I did blah, blah, blah. But since I was with my kids, I had this, this, and this. And he doesn't be like, oh, you shouldn't have ate that. He's more like, so if you do this, have this instead of that.
Yeah.
And there's no guilt, there's no nothing. And it makes you not even want to go to a drive-through no more. Like, skip it. You guys get drive-through. I'm going home and get like salmon and a salad.
No, and he's even said, talking to Alex about it, a lot of the people that are perfect about checking everything off and just go so hardcore, they fade, they fizzle, they struggle early on. I actually might go back to incorporating a few more of the things now that I'm in the follow-up program, because I'm not required to log every single thing, but I kind of liked that accountability after a while. Once I got used to it, once it became habit, it was easy. I eat a lot of the same things regularly to stay very consistent.
Does it bother you?
No.
Exactly.
I'm kind of a creature of habit. So
food is fuel.
Yeah, and I got my
its pleasure.
routine. It's a routine, I consistently have one of these 2, maybe 3 things for breakfast every morning. I have my protein shake. I have my protein bars that I fill in the day with. And then dinner, we mix it up some, but it's not a lot of, we don't go crazy. We get a protein.
Food costs a lot of damn money now. That's the one thing.
Dude, it's crazy. I don't know how people with kids do it. I watch these kids just throwing stuff into the cart, and
spoiled.
Parents about to have a fit in the store.
Man, if you take your kids to the store with you damn crazy. I don't either that, or you need to train them, because my 9-year-old, ooh, look at that, Lunchables. I said, ooh, look at that. You buy, but he caught me kind of out there, because my son Oliver earns money when he plays football. So when he pulls a flag against a touchdown, he does get it. So he's one of the few kids that you got money? He'd be like, yep.
I pulled the flag 3 times, Dad.
I was like, which Lunchable do you want, boy? Just go ahead on. And he be calling me out.
He don't forget.
Not at all.
He does not forget.
Between Robux and grocery and snacks, he's on it. So let me recant that statement. But he earns it though.
Yeah.
I don't give my kids nothing. And that's kind of what I think today's show is about a little bit, since we're on the fly. But what is common sense? Even though we spell it like money, it's still meant to be the use of your brain in life. And the people we interview and we have on the show, it's more about how did you use your common sense? What things led you down your journey, down your path? Was it an elder? Was it a parent? Was it a mentor? Was it yourself? Was it realization? How did you use, because I think the world is really teetering on the lack thereof of common sense lately. Mm-hmm. And which is basically, in layman's terms, use of good judgment. and I'm not going to talk about the craziness that happened this weekend because I respect that situation. I'm more talking about, like you said, the parent letting the kid throw everything in the shopping cart.
Yeah.
You know, or when you know that you've had 17 bourbons or something and you opt not to get an Uber and get mad that you have a DUI.
Yeah.
Somebody told you that girl was crazy and you still went over there and got that phone number. Banana cream pie. Just that common sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many ways talking about common sense can go. And that's kind of where we went with that because, and I didn't want it to just be talking about the lack thereof. You know, I wanted people to talk about, you know, their failures, their successes, but not to short play the failures because there's a lesson learned in all their failures. And, you know, sitting back here and sitting behind this mic or in the lounge with all the different people, you know, that we've had on the show and many more to come, those are the stories we start talking about. And, you know, that's where you really get to know somebody and you start finding out, like, you may have a certain image of somebody because all you see is the social media of that person or just what they put on when they're in the lounge with you or public. But when you start having those deeper conversations and diving in and really getting to know somebody, you start to see what they put into it to get there. So, you know, it's so easy with social media and all these different forms of social media for people to just see the glitz and glamour and to just get caught up in that. I mean, I'm guilty of it at times too. I mean,
well, it's validation. People have to now, they live through validation. And so one thing that was told to me was, you know, I'm old school at raising kids because of my grandparents, my grandmother especially. But I never really thought about it. And I look at my 14-year-old, there's so many days I just be like, man, what the hell? Why don't you get it? Like, are you refusing? But people, I was told that it's harder now to be a child than it was in our day.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because
all the eyes on you.
We didn't, exactly. You didn't have the pressure of acceptance of the world. You know, the example I always use, if we got in a fight at school and you whip my ass, hey, that goes no further than those hallways in that school. Just like, I got beat up today, shake hands and we go. Now, everybody has their camera phones out.
Yeah.
So if you get whooped, the entire planet will see you get beat up. Now you become a meme. Now you become, people are in your inbox, in your parents' inbox. People are, I mean, now your whole life can be ruined in one embarrassing moment because the world sees it and how you judge yourself.
You know, and I think that's where bullying and, I mean, I call some of that stuff just hazing and, you know, stuff like that we had when we were kids. Was it bad? And, you know, I mean, I think about stuff that happened, you know, growing up playing football and baseball. We, you know, the seniors and the older kids when we were on select teams or when you were in high school, they did shit to you, even if you were good.
But we knew that was coming.
Yeah, you knew that was coming.
We expected that. When we first got to high school, we knew we got caught downstairs. We had the ROTC was downstairs at the high school I was at. And, man, I had a locker downstairs, and that's where they would catch you at. When you're a freshman coming on a football team, you knew it was coming. But it was like, it got to the point, but then as the season and everything went on, then y'all became boys, but it's just a rite of passage period.
Yeah, and rite of passage and stuff like that. But how would we feel about that? You know, in our time, like you said, that happened in that locker room, that happened, you know, offsite, whatever, and it stayed there. And it was your kind of acceptance, and like you knew once that happened to you, like, yeah, I made varsity, and this is the varsity, like, you know, letting me know, like, all right, you're here, like, yeah, you're a good kid, but we're gonna remind you that, like, this is what's up.
There was I mean, it was rough, but there was no intent to overly hurt and damage somebody.
You're right, and you know, even the difference between like Connecticut and Texas too, like stuff that happened in well, I'm just gonna call it hazing. You know, hazing when you made varsity or you were in the locker room with the guys and the stuff that happened. Yeah, there was always somebody or a select group that took shit way too far.
Yeah.
And you know, they got handled and that got dealt with. It was addressed. I mean, there was even an incident when I got to Texas where this guy got yanked out of, you know, my algebra class and he went to jail. Like, I mean,
lesson learned.
You took it too far, bro. Like, you crossed the line. Like, that stayed there. But the in-between stuff, I mean, I'll even tell a story here in a minute, but of what happened to me. But even when that stuff happens, it didn't go on social media, like you said, for the world to watch it. Like, how much worse would that have been? Like, think about, I don't know what happened to you. I'll tell my story in a minute, but I know the two different things that happened to me in football that, I mean, I got over it pretty quickly. I mean, I wasn't like, I mean, yeah, at the time it was humiliating. After the fact, it was like, all right, we're going to get these dudes back. You know, we got something for them too. And then it was over with, you know, and the season went on and we all became friends and everything was cool. It wasn't like it stayed like that. But how different would that be if that was on social media and that got put out there to where it wasn't just the locker room or the few people that heard about it outside the locker room that kind of razzed you about it, but the whole school, the whole world was able to see that and it was captured on video. Because I'll tell you, both of the ones that happened to me, if that had been put on social media, it'd have made the damn news and it would have been bad and uproar. Because the first one, so in Connecticut, as freshmen, when you come in, they ship all the kids off during the summer before school starts to a football camp. Mm-hmm. Like, it was like some kind of like military college or military school where there's dorms, you eat, sleep, and drink football for a week. You practice together, and then now I think it might be 2 weeks, but then you scrimmage, and you know it turns into a tournament between the schools before the season even starts. Well, I remember one of the very first nights, the seniors made us take our jock straps, filled them with shaving cream. We wore them like Vader masks and had to run the halls. I mean,
that's hazing.
That sucked, and it was embarrassing.
But there's no physical harm done.
We weren't hurt. It didn't do anything. I mean, yeah, your pride's a little hurt. You know, you're wearing your jock strap and your cup on your face, running around in your BVDs, you know, like tearing ass through the hallway, trying to not get caught by the coaches, you know, and make it back. And you had to make the lap. And, you know, if you weren't fast, man, you better be getting it because the guys at the end, by then, all the noise is coming. So now the coaches are coming out of their rooms. But what if that had been put on a video and put out on social media?
Whole program would have been shut down.
I mean, right then and there. The other one, which is way worse, and what I liked about that Connecticut did, and I think schools should do this everywhere. When I was a freshman in high school, they assigned every boy and girl to a senior. Some had two.
Like a sponsor.
Kind of like a sponsor, a big brother, big sister. Mm-hmm. So I got lucky, you know, because I had only been there for 2 years. You know, I was there for 7th and 8th grade. Still was kind of like, you know, I didn't know everybody. Like these, it's smaller towns, so these kids all grew up together. Old families, long histories. Mm-hmm. I got the captain of the football team / captain of the lacrosse team and hockey captain
you got Tad.
On as my big brother.
Tad.
I'm like, I mean, this dude, I mean, it was Dan. He had a mohawk.
Same thing.
Nobody was messing with this dude. And nobody was messing with me because they didn't want to have to deal with him. And I was his responsibility for the first week or two.
First off, the dude played lacrosse.
Yeah.
I know 0 people that play lacrosse, and I think that's pretty much of a physical sport, so he must have been something to deal with.
Dude, linebacker. I mean, the dude was a beast.
See, we played Kill the Man. You get a whole bunch of cats in the street, and we would tackle in the street, not on the grass, in the street. Whoever threw the ball up, catch it, you get tackled. You may get slammed against the Buick, get knocked over a Chevy, hit the pole, whatever. That was fun. But you had Dan.
I had Dan. I think his last name was Pascal.
That just sounds ominous.
I mean, like, and dude had a mohawk. I mean, he was bad.
Did he become something?
You know, I don't really know, man. I lost touch with most people from Connecticut when I left.
I thought you was about to tell. So that's still Connecticut.
So, I mean, so I left at the end of my sophomore year and moved to Texas. So what happened freshman year when we were all getting sorted out between freshman, JV, and varsity, there was me and this other cat, Ed Baggett. And we were getting ready, and, you know, they got the little benches in front of your lockers. And we're just starting to get dressed up and putting all our pads on. And about 4 of the seniors come and grab us. They literally taped us mounted to each other on the bench.
So you couldn't move.
We couldn't move. I mean, like, I don't know how many rolls of sports tape they used on us, but they held us down and literally taped us mounted to each other on the bench in the locker room. And we can literally hear roll call going on outside while they're doing warm-ups and stretches. And first you hear Ed Baggett, and where's Baggett? And everybody starts snickering and laughing. Coach is like, all right, damn it, where's Reed? Where's Reed? And they start laughing. And then here it comes. You can hear it blow the whistle. They're like, all right, start running. They start running. Well, here come the coaches.
It's not your fault. You're freaking duct taped to a bench.
They come and find us, and man, they laughed. They laughed for a minute, and then they untaped us, like cut us off, and like.
Did you have to go run?
No, but the seniors got hell. But then we didn't have to run out of punishment. We had to run because we wouldn't rat out who taped us to the bench. So then we ran because we wouldn't tell them who did it. But the whole team ran at first, but then afterwards, at the end of practice, we refused. So then we had to run laps for not ratting anybody out.
But that's the team. That's the team.
But it was handled. But again, if someone had come in and taken a picture or a video of that and put that on social media,
whole school is canceled. No more football. No more nothing. Parents is gonna be suing.
Rock the world.
So we're not like condoning it, but just giving you the differences of, hey, like it's hazing, but you're not physically assaulting. Like, we kind of got physically assaulted. Like, we played. Have you ever played this? So what we got was called open chest. You ever play that? Or just when you just walk in, and if you didn't have your guard up, somebody would just literally blast you in your chest, and you would crumple to the ground and be like, good one, good one, good one, and you have to keep it moving. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't nothing. Just you got socked with an open chest. I was walking down the hallway, and there's this kid. I can't even make this name up. His name was Xavier Kanazi. Big old Samoan and black dude, like Jay Scott, like a Jay Scott. And we were in practice that day. I'm itty bitty, man. In 9th grade, I had to be maybe 5'6", teetering on 5'7", but I knew how to hit you. I can hit you low, and I was very fast, low and fast. Boom. So even though he was a lineman and I was a guard, they would always make us get in a circle and go heads up. This dude is like 6 foot tall, 200 and something pounds, and they lined me up against him. So I would just make him miss. He come straight at me like a water buffalo. I would go to the side and make him go by, and he'd go helmet first into the grass. So I embarrassed him like 3 times. So he decided to open chest me going to class the next day, and he hit me so hard, I flew through the plate glass window in front of the library. Ooh. So I seen him coming. I seen a flashlight, and then I'm literally sitting in the glass holding a copy of Charlotte's Web in this glass, and glasses falling around me, and I just literally sat there. Shirts all cut up, and he just kept walking down the hallway. I end up having to pay for half the glass. Well, I didn't. My grandmother did, but I paid for it. Yeah. Way worse. You did. I'd rather have gotten hit by him than her.
Yeah, we didn't play that. But
that's what I'm saying. No, I'm not saying it's a rite of passage and it's correct. Yeah. But that would have been assault charges. I actually kind of feel like it should have been because that hurt. But it was just kind of that way, and I get it. But now let's flip it. There are times I'm very thankful we have cameras, and everybody is socially aware because there's so many things that now have been justified. With the thing that happened on the subway. I don't know whenever you'll see this, but a guy choked a guy out on the subway that was being rowdy.
I saw that video.
And there's a difference. If somebody stops struggling, stop or whatever. I get he was trying to do the right thing, but adrenaline, all that stuff goes into overtime, and he just clocked out and he killed the guy. And it's just, you're trying to be vigilant, but then you overdo it. Now you're facing criminal charges. But now in the world of it's your word against mine, camera phones popping up everywhere are actually saving people versus hurting them. So it's a give and take with the whole thing.
But again, some people need to have a little bit of common sense and tone things down.
Yeah, the whole Karen thing. I actually have a bad habit. After I journal at night, I will sit down and watch like 15, 20 minutes of TikTok and look up Karen videos and just die laughing. Like, I want to run into a Karen. Please let me have a Karen in my life just once. Because it's like the stuff these Karen and Kens I'm like, this can't be real. This has to be staged. But there are really people in life like that have this entitlement to think that they can just do or say whatever they want to anybody.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, common sense is used in all kind of things. But I will say, give me an example of the best time in your life where you think your common sense kicked in, and I don't know if it saved you and made a decision, you did something, but what do you think, and I'm not even saying learning by mistake, when you think using your common sense made a pivotal point in your life?
That's a tough question.
Aha.
A pivotal moment.
A pivotal moment, something where you're, so for me, I was in the Army, about second year, and I had a really, really good friend of mine. He's still one of my best friends to this day. He's about 3 years older than I. And when we got to Germany, I'm 18, so I'm out of the country, not even out of home. I'm out of the country in another place, and they let us loose. And whenever we would go clubbing, all the guys that would hang around from my unit would like to go out and start fighting, just starting fights with, the local Germans on the economy. They would just wild out and whatever, and it just, because of how I was raised, it just wasn't my thing.
Right.
And one night they got into a huge fight with these Arabian guys. And my common sense, my little angel on my shoulder, a.k.a. my grandmother's like, boy, sit your ass right still. Don't go out there. Oh, man, we ride together. Come on, man, B. We about to go ahead and ride on these dudes. I'm like, y'all got it. I'm going to sit over here and talk to these girls. I'm going to make sure the ladies are straight. Y'all cool. Y'all go ahead. So my mentor, my boy, came up. He says, smart decision. Watch what happens. Literally. These dudes go out to the parking lot to go fight. And these guys, I have no clue where the hell they pull out swords. Swords. I'm like, how do you have go get a pistol? They pulled out swords, not the big curved swords, but they were like
daggers.
Yeah, like swords. I'm like, where would you even have them at? Two dudes got stabbed. Another dude got his arm sliced, and they running and screaming and hollering. The dudes walk up on me, and they just looked at me and said, respect. I said, hey, cool. And they walked off, and they left. And I was just like, man.
I mean, I can't think of a specific instance right now that makes me feel like that's a story I would tell, but I will say this. There's numerous times my gut said, don't go out tonight. Don't go out with this group, this person.
And you got to listen to your gut.
Don't get involved, in stuff like you're saying. Like, I mean, there's so many different ones. I moved every 3 years growing up, so I had to learn to adapt and read situations and different people really fast. And I was the really tall, skinny, lanky kid that, man, I just got picked on, like, bad. Like, if anybody could say they got hazed or bullied, man, I feel like I could take gold in every place that I lived up until about the point of going to Connecticut. Wichita, Kansas was absolutely brutal.
Wichita's hood.
Wichita's hood. I mean, I went to an almost all-black school.
Wichita's hood.
I mean, it was rough, man. I mean, I lived in a duplex across the street, and I could not make it from the front door across the parking lot, past the crossing guard, to my front door without getting jumped multiple times a week. I mean, all the damn time. I had to learn to fight. I had to learn to defend myself. And I had to learn how to find ways to put myself in good situations or protected situations where I didn't get myself involved in things. So, there's a lot of things like that. I can think of, I had a friend in Connecticut that I hung out with this dude that was Puerto Rican. Well, I had a lot of Puerto Rican friends, but one of the dudes I hung out with, it started off because I was decent in Spanish, and he was he just didn't care, and he was blowing off Spanish class. So he'd copy my assignment, whatever.
And he was Puerto Rican.
It was Puerto Rican. I'm talking about it wasn't like he had a problem with, it was doing the work.
Oh, he could speak it. He just didn't want to do it. He didn't want to conjugate no verbs. He didn't want to do none of that
stuff. He'd be like, hey,
okay,
let me see this real quick, so he could copy my stuff, and we became friends. Well, I noticed that helping this dude out and hanging out with this dude, people were not messing with me. He had a rap, and he ran with one of the Latino gangs around there, and I didn't really know to what extent. I didn't know if it was a rumor or whatnot. But, you know, there's a couple times he asked me to meet up with him, and he was like, yo, can you take this bag and, you know, take it to the field house and give it to so-and-so or whatever? And I'm so glad I said no, because the dude that said yes, that felt intimidated and did it, got popped with, like, I mean, I don't even know how much drugs and just shit that he was.
Take this bag. Don't worry about the lumps in it. Just take it. You may feel a little hazy as you're carrying it, but just dump it up. Come on, man.
You know, there's just so many instances like that as a kid that I remember. And like I said, most of them just were, it was a gut instinct that, like, this is a bad situation. Don't get involved in this and go on down the road.
So what in your journey then, as we talk about people's journeys, led you on the road to where you are now? Like, you do construction and things like that. So if you ever think about life at that age when you were younger, did you ever think you would end up doing what you're doing now, where you're at now? Isn't it kind of crazy how you make decisions to end up where you are?
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, honestly, I mean, you and I talk about this a little bit. I mean, I don't care. I'll answer this question. Uh-oh. What's up, Josh? Good to see you, my man. Stacy said to tell you hi. We got some dirt on you, though. You didn't say that she knew you since you were pretty much born, and her brother Phil was there as well. So, my man Josh, I got some stuff for you. But thanks for tuning in, brother. And Biz, he's happy to see you in front of the camera today.
Oh, yeah, this is what I look like. Hi.
Yeah. For those of you that are wondering, we're going to have to get that worked up, this multi-angle thing where we can, like,
I got more cameras. I got to figure this thing out.
We got that figured out.
I didn't even plug the mic in today. You're going to add a camera to it? You're going to mess this shit up for real.
But to answer your question, though, no, my journey's taken a lot of different twists and turns, and there's a lot of times I thought I made the wrong decision. You know, like, I'll go back and, you know, I had an opportunity in my early 20s when my father passed. And instead of going back to going to school, like go to college, which I'd never done, or buy a house or, you know, something really smart with the money, I decided I was going to be an entrepreneur and talk my family into supporting doing a franchise decorative concrete business. That was not a good experience.
Did you learn from it, though, right?
I learned a lot, though. I learned a lot from it. There's a lot of things I learned that I wouldn't do again, things I would do differently. I mean, it taught me a lot, but I wouldn't do it again. But
it sounds like you got into your industry early, like right out the gate. You planted the seed.
Well, no, what happened was I went to the Navy and thought I had that figured out. And I hated that. I didn't like it. It wasn't my cup of tea. I got honorably discharged 2 weeks before I would have graduated boot camp.
Oh, you didn't even go like to permanent party? You didn't go to permanent party or anything? Oh, wow.
No. So I came home, and I really didn't know what I was going to do, because my whole point of going to the Navy was that I got to travel, see the world, and figure out what I wanted to do, because part of the reason I didn't want to just go to school was I had no clue what it was I wanted to do at that point. And I didn't want to just waste my parents' money and just go take basic classes. And I didn't really believe, and I still don't, I think that's kind of what's messed up with our education system, is what they're teaching is so outdated and doesn't help people move forward in life. Like memorizing a bunch of useless shit and old formulas and stuff. Like, I mean, if that's the field you're going in and that helps you, okay, but I shouldn't be required to take this class like that. I'm never going to use this shit again in my life.
I don't want to derail you, but we talked about it. Somebody said something about a college degree don't mean shit anymore.
No, it doesn't. I don't think it does. I mean,
I really think that entrepreneurialism should be a course. Like when my parents grew up, they had vocational high schools that taught you all the basics, but trade schools. I truly think that I wish we have that now.
We're gonna have to have that and get that back, because when, you know, and I don't want to derail completely, but if we don't start training kids and getting kids interested in these things, and the shit that a lot of us don't want to do or don't think we want to do or weren't taught or don't know how to do, when this generation, you know, even in my construction industry, when this, and I talk about this with Grady and a bunch of the guys up here that, you know, big time custom home builders and stuff like that, when this next generation that has the 20 to 30-year-old kids at home and younger, and when their parents that are master carpenters, trim carpenters, painters, drywall guys, electricians, plumbers, you name it, go on down the list. Their kids, they've spent their whole life mastering those crafts and becoming really good at them, building up companies and doing all that. They're getting harder and harder to find. And when those guys start retiring and they can't do those physical labor jobs anymore, or they go on to something else because they just physically can't do it anymore, we're going to have a real hard time in America, and probably across the world, but in America for sure, getting people qualified to do this stuff.
It's hard now in both of our trades.
It's going to get worse.
It's hard to find, like for me, during my marketing company side, it's hard to find good help. Like when I say different photographers, videographers that are hungry, I've run into kids that they're all cool with it until you give them an assignment that has a challenge to it.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good, man. And they literally just walk away. Nah, I'm cool. Like everybody in the world can't just start a YouTube channel and expect to be a millionaire.
No.
But unfortunately, that's kind of the mindset that's happened.
Yeah.
And it's now on the other end of it. No, I don't think that you have to do the traditional thing: graduate, go to school, get a job till you retire, and be done. No, I think you should be an entrepreneur, a free spirit. But we're not teaching kids. Everybody, like even old dog, new tricks. Even I just learned the thing about value, and common sense tells you if you provide value to somebody, they will pay you for it. But you do have to means that you have to know what you're doing. You do have to do it when you say you're going to do it, and then have the gumption within yourself to do it better than anybody else. So that way you will be highly referred and recommended, and you can become a millionaire. But like you said, some of these skill sets that take stick-to-itiveness, people don't want to do it. Everybody thinks it's the easy, you know, all the way when we talked about Alex and Whiskey Weight Loss. They want to
earn easy money.
Everybody thinks that they can watch these late night commercials and take 2 pills and not do nothing, eat a bag of Twizzlers, and you're going to look like, what's that dude's name?
Or take steroids and not even work out.
Yeah, but even that's a bad road.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a bad road. I've been there, done that. That's not good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't, but it's the easy way.
It's the easy way.
You know, so it's... But it all starts at home. Common sense starts at home. It's because you are either you're a product of your environment.
Yeah.
You take values from the streets, you take values from school, and you take values from what your parents or your home life. We did foster care for 13 years. So we had a lot of reprogramming to do. We had a lot to combat against because we would have kids that would go home with their bio parents, and all the negativity would go there for a week, and then they come back to us, and we have to restructure that all again. And that's very hard. And kids, they've got so many things coming at them. How do you turn them that way, especially when the adults of the world are leading by the example that's throwing them down that well?
Yeah, and you've had all these parents, you know, my generation even, that, yeah, they did so much to provide, but they did so little to teach and be there for their kids. And these kids just got used to having everything given to them because they were just pushed away with a computer, gaming system, whatever, and kids don't go outside anymore. Kids don't play. Kids don't learn.
I have to threaten my son to take his tablet all the time to get him to do something, and that's the only way he'll move. When he comes home from school, the first thing, he'll make sure that thing is charged. He'll make sure it's ready to go. He'll forget all his chores, but man, that tablet is always A1 on point. So I threatened both of them. I said, this summer, you guys have limited electronics. You're going to play with some G.I. Joes. You're going to create something. I'm giving them a camera. You're going to make me a movie this summer. You're going to make T-shirts. You guys are not just going to sit here and stare at a screen.
Yeah.
I just, no matter what. But the thing is, as dad, as busy as I am, I'm going to have to carve the time out to enforce that, nurture that, and make sure it gets done, because we also cry wolf a lot. I'm going to make you do this. And then you get busy with work. I got to pay the bills. Bye. Here's your tablet. No, it's self-realization. It starts there first. And it's hard, but like you said, I never really thought about that point, that once the current generation dies off with trades, who's going to be left to do it? Because there's people opting not to do it at all. Like, man, I'm good.
I mean, I can name multiple trades that are excellent. They've built phenomenal businesses, and they have kids that are in their early 20s that didn't want to go to school, didn't want to do this and that. They want to inherit dad, mom's business, but they don't want to do the work. I mean, like they don't know how. They've never taken the time to learn, even though they've had every opportunity, or they just don't care. They want the money that brings, but they don't want to do the work. So, I mean, I think we're in a world of hurt in the next decade when these guys start retiring to find skilled trades, man. It's gonna
AI ain't gonna build a house, man. AI can design a house, but it ain't gonna get out there and put that drywall up.
If I had young kids today, I would be trying to push them to learn a physical trade, whether it's, like I look at my little nephew and he's like a little engineer brainiac. Like the kid is so smart and he loves building and tinkering with things. Like, I mean, I try to buy him, Sarah and I both try to buy him like engineering sets and things where he makes gadgets and robots and stuff like that because he wants to build things with his hands and make these things. And he's making circuit boards and alarms and all these little amazing things from the time he was like 5. I mean, at 5, he was doing 11-year-olds like engineering kits. Like,
Elliot's son is doing like straight up college level programming, and this kid is like 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like, people got to start doing that with trades though too. Like, if your kid is like fascinated by like electronics or whatever, like the wiring, teach them about electricity. I'm saying electricity, it's like a thing I'm scared to death of. But I mean, not everybody wants to be a plumber. Not everybody wants to be a carpenter. A kid really likes to build something. Teach them how to build stuff. Teach them woodworking. There's so few really high-end trim carpenters that are like really good. A kid likes painting. Teach them how to be a badass. Like, not only can they build a really good paint business, and my boss told me 20 years ago, you want to make a lot of money? Go buy 2 vans, some ladders, some paint rigs, and build you up 2 solid paint crews. I'll put them to work all year long. Like just him.
Bruh, I had my living room painted. My living room, my whole downstairs painted. And I painted my office, and that took me 2 days and a bunch of mistakes and whatever. These dudes came in and painted my entire house, 3,700 square foot, the entire downstairs, and repainted even the big top, repainted the whole ceilings white.
Yeah.
It was $8,000, but they did it in one day.
Yeah, man.
Took down everything, and when after you got done, I said, "Man, here you go," because
they know how to prep.
Yes,
and everything else.
They killed it. It's like I saw what value.
Yeah,
I saw the value in what they did. I just had guys come out and do the roof, and they killed that roof, gutter fence, everything in one day. And I only found one nail, only one, because they had some kind of magnetic vacuum cleaner machine did everything.
Yeah.
Because they know, and as things evolve, that's the biggest complaint about this season is the nails and all that. I found one nail, and it was literally off to the side under one of my chairs on the front porch. But that was it. So It's like these guys, I recommended him. He's done 6 houses on the block. He's whatever. Brought the kids tacos on Taco Tuesday. Was cool about everything. And I just say customer service, value, how to get it. But he also told me he inherited his uncle. Challenged him. His uncle was doing the roofing thing. His uncle his uncle has a little side gig repairing wrecked cars. Duramax 2500 Chevy truck, just what you said. He said, take this, get your company name slapping on the side, get you and your boys together, start doing these roofs and look on it now. He said, this is only his first year, and he has so much work he's had to subcontract because he just did it. But he also makes sure that his subcontractors are up to par, whatever, because reputation means everything.
Family member that mentored him and
all
showed him how to do
day.
it.
Started with the truck.
Yeah.
Hung out with him for 2 summers, did it.
And went and did the work.
And now he does the work. And now he's not on the roof anymore. He is the foreman. But he's still making sure everything gets done.
But
and he knows everything about it.
Learned how to do it.
Yes, he said took 2 summers, but even that's nothing. 2-3 month periods, and maybe some weeks or whatever, to really learn the trade, understand it. Then he said he maybe took another 2 months with his crews, and now he knows and understands the work. He gets it. He can delegate it. He can inspect it. And if he's short, he can do it.
Yeah, man.
And dude's like 26. He's good.
There's lots of instances like that. I mean, so yeah, to answer your question when you start off with, did I think this is what I would be doing now? Is it what I always envisioned or dreamed of doing? No. And you and I talked about doing a show or two, or you even talked about doing a whole podcast just on
being 50 and starting over.
Yeah, or being 40 and starting over, like however you want to look at it. I think we all ask ourselves those questions a lot of time because I think people don't spend enough time and or they get hung up and mix up purpose and passion.
Yeah. But how do you identify
how you identify and do that? And I think that's what led me on my journey a lot because I couldn't figure that out. And I always figured, I just always try to put myself in situations where I learn and I can also, put myself in a situation where if I give some value, I can probably get some value. Whether that's a simple conversation, sometimes they lead to other things, and you might discover from talking to somebody and putting yourself around other successful people, other people doing things that you have interest in, you're going to pick up and learn other things.
You are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around.
Yeah, and, everybody can hear that, but do you hear it? You know what I'm saying? Like, and until you get around a person or people, depending on how fortunate or lucky you are, that really do inspire you or make you question things or challenge you or make it to where you see a different side of something or a different perspective, that doesn't really sink in. At least it didn't for me. It still doesn't at times. But the more I put myself in situations to be around people that do more, have more, are happier, whatever, however you want to look at that, until I do that, those things don't happen. Mm-hmm. And I feel like personally, I go through waves. Like, I go through waves where I am super motivated, and then I go through waves where I might just be kind of chill, or I might even be down. Like, mental health is a real thing. People need to take care of their mental health. Mm-hmm. They need to be able to recognize when they're not, I had this conversation. I don't mind putting this out there. I mean, I had this conversation with my wife recently. I was like, I have so many things going really good for me, and, I'm pretty successful. I make a good living. And, I've had times recently where I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I mean, that's probably my biggest struggle throughout life is I don't feel like I'm doing enough. Like, I could be doing more. I could have done this. I should be doing this. I could do that. I could do this. And sometimes I feel lost in that. And that gets me trapped up in my head bad. And, sometimes I shut down and I'm not, even with my wife, who's one of my best friends in the whole world, even my my younger brother, my older brother, I have these conversations with some of them and those that are really close to me. But I mean, there's a lot of times that I really struggle with that, man. Like, to be completely honest, like I have to put myself in certain situations. Being back in the gym helps me tremendously. Like, I swear to God, that shit like rewires my brain. I could wake up and not be feeling it. And I kind of have to tell myself, I picked this up off this cat. I'll give him a little shout out, Ryan Stewman. Some people are going to love, some people hate this dude. Like, he's kind of a motivational person, sales guy. Been to prison, all kinds of stuff. But he has it tattooed on his hand, FYE. Fuck your excuses. That's what it means. Fuck your excuses. I have to tell myself that a lot of times in the morning and be like, fuck your excuses. Like, go. And the minute I get in there and start doing work and, you know, whether it's cardio day, banging some weights, man, my whole like chemistry, my brain, my feeling, everything.
Because you're already
changes.
in it. You committed to something, and when you're already in it,
I just started doing something. But if I sit around on my ass and don't do stuff, man, I can get all up in my head. And I get bad about that at times, man, because then I start questioning everything. Like, you know, if things just, you know, and there's peaks and valleys and everything, you know, and I can get caught up in that real easy. It's something I struggle with and I have to work on constantly. So, I mean, this started out from having a common conversation about, am I where I'm at because it's where I thought I'd be at, or is it where I thought I'd be at? Like, no, I mean, I've made a lot of different choices in business and stuff. So quick, short recap. I mean, I left the Navy. I came home. My dad told me I had to get a job or go to school. I didn't want to go to school even at, you know, Quad C or whatever and just start going to school because I still had no clue what I wanted to do. Well, my mom's like, well, hey, they got a job at this insurance company she worked at in the mailroom. Why don't you at least do that? It pays pretty good. You'll work, you know, 8 to 4 and 8 to 5, whatever, and you're going to get benefits and all that stuff while you're figuring it out, whatnot. So I started doing that. Well, I just kept doing that, and I started kicking ass at that. Well, then my boss now's wife came and was like, you don't need to be in this mailroom. What the hell are you doing in this mailroom? Like, she started giving me more and more tasks. Well, then she mentored me into being a claims adjuster assistant. And then I started assisting these adjusters. Well, that only lasted for about 6 months, and I got so good at that, then they're like, you need to be an adjuster. Then they sent me to school to get my adjuster's license. Then they put me on a desk, and I went all through the company really fast. Like, and this old guy was retiring, that Neil was awesome. But Neil worked way too long in life, and Neil was like, should have retired 10 years sooner, you know, like that type of dude. Well, they knew he was coming up, and he was the only guy that handled commercial property. They mentored me into that, and they said, you're going to take over Neil's desk. But by the time Neil retired, and a few months later, I'm on this commercial property desk where I'm handling stuff up to like $1 million, $2 million. And my boss's boss is the only other person that has any knowledge in this arena, and he's the only person that can like approve stuff for me. Like, I mean, I had like $500,000 authority level to approve and close claims at like 21 years old. And it just grew from there. And then I decided I wanted to try the field for a little bit. That company separated. I turned down being one of the 3 people asked to go to Colorado. Long story short, I ended up going over to another insurance company, Safeco, and I went into their mold and foundation specialty unit until they wrote that out of the policies pretty much. And I did that until my dad passed. But at that point, I was kind of like getting stressed out. My blood pressure, everything, you know, hereditary was affecting me drastically. At 24, I'm being told I'm going to have to be on blood pressure medicine and this stuff at an early age. And I was like, man, this job's too stressful because everybody that's insured thinks they're insured to where when they have a loss, it's just, right, you get stuff replaced. That ain't the case. People are dealing with one of the worst things that ever happened to them. Car wreck, fire, flood, some kind of loss.
So you're dealing with their emotions,
and I'm having to deal
on top of
and then
the news you have to give them.
And then have to give them bad news like, hey, yeah, you have coverage, but you only have $500 for X. You have $2,500 for this.
But now you're not in charge. You're
have to
after
prove,
the fact. You're not the agent that gets them covered correctly. You're the after the fact.
I'm the adjuster handling their claim. Then you know, and I'm dealing with these agents and everything else. Like, man, it was a stressful job. So then I started the decorative concrete business. Then the recession hit, and people quit spending money on their outdoor spaces, and you know.
Is that like the cobblestones and the pavers and all that other stuff?
I got into paving for a little bit. I specialize in doing micro thin overcoatings on concrete, where I can make it look like whatever, brick, stone, acid staining, stamped concrete,
some shit I would never get.
Epoxy coatings, all this stuff. I mean, I did all.
I do want to do that to my garage.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I definitely want to do that to my garage.
But I did that for 3 years, and then right when the business was really picking up, and I had like over $1 million in contracts, it rained that summer before the economy really shit the bed. It rained from spring all the way through summer. Like, even if it was just a little bit that day. Got a little bit of rain, and I lost all these pool contracts and outdoor space contracts, and I finally had to just close the business down and decide to stop shoveling and start digging, quit digging the hole and start shoveling it back in. So I did that. Well, then all my buddies were working in the mortgage industry and were working for Countrywide doing refis, and they were killing it, man. Like, all of a sudden my buddies, and man, both of these cats one had a GED, one had a little bit of college, but that was it. And they finagled their way into those jobs, and then they got me a job up there. But I had to wait for the next training program, which was like 6 months away. So, and I just gotten divorced. I went to work for one of my buddies that built arbors, decks, fences, gazebos, stuff like that. I worked for him for a whole summer while I was waiting on this program. My current boss had been calling me back when I had the business and trying to get me to come work for him doing what I do now, and I always turned it down. Well, I get on at Countrywide. I'm killing the training program. Like, I'm setting records at this training program. Like, dude, I'm passing off. I refinanced this guy's like 12 property portfolio out of Baltimore.
Do you think your experience with insurance helped with all of that, or that's just a natural knack?
It was just a natural knack, man. I mean, I've always had some kind of sales role in a lot of different ways. So sales has always come really easy to me. So, once I grasp a knowledge on something and I believe in it and I know it's something I can sell, then I can sell it. Mm-hmm. And, all those things kind of led
Ice
to that.
to an Eskimo.
Yeah. I mean, like, all that kind of led to that. And then Countrywide got caught up in that downfall in the recession and was doing all those bad loans and stuff. And Bank of America swooped in and bought them. And I'm a week from graduating and about to be on the floor. And I'm going, holy shit, am I going to have a job? Am I going to get laid off right after complete? I'm the star stud. Like, and my boss now called me. Is like, yo, I just had this guy leave me. He went back out chasing storms because a hurricane had hit. And he's like, I need somebody. He's like, I don't care what we got to do. Come work for me. And I had to make a decision right then and there. Was I going to roll the dice with Countrywide being bought by Bank of America when all my buddies are making good six-figure money, and I've been struggling for a while after everything that happened? So now, here we come. Yeah.
The common sense and the gut moment. That's what this sounds like. This is where your life kind of pivots.
This is one of them. That's what I was saying. So I had to make a decision. So they offered me a job. I took a huge pay cut with the promise of it would take me a year or two and I could be in sales and that would get me back up where I wanted to be. So I took that jump because I had more faith in what they were doing than the dice of a big corporate America coming in, buying another company that was doing shady things, basically, and going on a different path. It took me 3 years to be able to move from being an estimator into sales. And that entire 3 years, my buddies continued to murder refinancing. And we're making tons of money, and I'm making shit. I mean, like, I'm not making good money now compared to my friends. I mean, and it's a pay cut.
So you're regretting?
I'm thinking I made a big mistake is what I'm doing. At that point in my life, I'm thinking I've got debt from a divorce. I mean, I'm drowning. I'm living at home with my mom at 24 to 27 years old. I mean, I'm drowning. Like, I feel like I really screwed up again. Like, and then it started clicking and sinking in, and then I started getting some clients, and I started building up my portfolio, and then I was able to break off on my own, and then within like 6 months to a year, I was selling so much that I had to hire my first estimator, and that's when it started clicking, and then it was like I didn't look back past that. But that also comes back to, like, is it my passion? No. Is it something I'm good at and that I enjoy? Yes, I enjoy helping and working with my clients and helping them solve problems.
So have you identified a passion yet?
I don't.
I think you found the purpose. Because when you say helping my clients, even what you do now, I see and hear that in everything you do now. So you've got your purpose, but I think your passion, well, one of them is bourbon.
I don't even. I mean, bourbon is. I wouldn't even consider.
Would you call that a hobby?
That's a hobby.
That's a hobby. Okay, so
that's a hobby. My passion is helping people and being able to work with people and have conversations. You know, and really.
So your passion and your purpose do share the same.
Yeah.
Same book.
Yeah. That's where that lies.
So if I was to ask you if you had a superpower, what would it be? What would you consider your superpower? I was asked this in a meeting. We have a men's group, Bourbons and Brims, and the guy had speaking one day about mental health, and he said, everybody in the room, what is your superpower?
Hey, thanks, B. I really appreciate that. He's one of my good friends who is also a client just said, it's never been about my sales. It's been about what I say and that I back it up.
So what would be your superpower?
I really appreciate that. That's an awesome compliment.
I think they're even telling you what your superpower is right there.
Oh, man. See, and I don't see y'all saying he's making me uncomfortable now because I don't like answering this kind of stuff.
I don't get to be on this side.
Yeah. He's doing to me what I do to other people on the other side of this mic usually, I guess. What would my superpower be? What I want it to be?
No,
are you asking what do I think?
What do you think it is based on how you live life?
Okay,
and I don't mean like a Superman.
I understand what
your own personal superpower, that's something that's very unique to you that benefits others.
I think it's being able to relate to people.
Okay.
I think it's being able to relate and listen to people, which is something I really have to work on a lot of times too, which I think is weird to say that, but yet say it's a superpower. It's something like my dad and my mom pointed out things a lot of times when I was growing up, you know, like that I was very impatient a lot of times. I get very task oriented and I just want to knock things out. I want to get the job accomplished, you know, and completed and stuff like that, to where I've had to learn to be patient. Patience is something that I think is very important. It's something I work on all the time.
So that's your kryptonite to your superpower.
Yeah, I think so.
Fair enough.
I think that's probably very fair analysis.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, just being able to relate to people and listen to them and help them solve problems, and even if I don't know the answer, finding them the answer and doing what I say I'm going to do and standing behind that. And, you know, one way or another, we're going to get it done. You know, like that's in my industry, you know, and Brian said that, and I think that's awesome. I mean, to hear him say that, that means the world to me.
A little bit of validation, but it's well deserved.
Yeah. Thank you. That's hard though. That's what would be yours?
Service. I am always and it's my superpower and my kryptonite all in one. Because
so both
I overcommit myself to the point of stupidity, to where I say it all the time, and I have to work on not saying it, because there's some people that have no worth and nothing to give or offer, and I complain about none of my time is my own. You know, my dad just died last month, and so now I'm taking care of my mom, and I didn't realize how much stuff my mom is able-bodied, drives and everything, but it's just all the, like, just taking my mom to her eye doctor appointments, because if she gets her eyes dilated, pick her there. Yesterday, I totally forgot she needed to go to the dentist because they had to do some major work, and I had to drive her, and I had to do whatever. So I picked up that responsibility. I have the responsibility to my family, you know, making sure that everything is good there. I have grown kids and I have little kids, so I've got the responsibility of checking in. And my grown kids I've got kids that live out of town with grandkids now, so it's even hard to carve out the time in the rimmer just to call, FaceTime, and check in on the grandkids and the kids and do everything else. My daughter, who moved from Atlanta to Texas, I haven't, ever since she moved out and her and her fiance got on her feet, we haven't seen each other in 3 months because everybody's so busy moving. I've got my commitments to you. I've got my commitments to the marketing here at the lounge. I've got commitments with my own business. I've got commitments with another company that I'm helping out. And I've committed so much trying to be of service that I never get 5 minutes. The only time I get with myself is taking a quick shower and sleeping. Yeah. That is literally it. Wow. And like you said, I thought that the answer was being busy. I thought being busy all the time is being successful, it is not.
Yeah.
I spend so many plates.
Time is your biggest asset.
Time is the biggest thing, and you can't get it back. We can go broke and make money, but time you can't get back. Yeah. And, you know, if you look at how fast time goes by, it's already Tuesday again. I remember last Tuesday, even though we didn't have a show, I know what I did. It just goes by so quick, so you can't do that. But I love being of service to people because of the naturally given talents that I have. Or I used to struggle a lot with clarity of purpose. Like what is, and the one thing is, I listened to your whole story, what you just said, and if you think about it, you've always gone down the path and touched in, you're in the same wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Now you play different parts of the field, but it's still in the same wheelhouse.
Purpose, yes. When you say passion, to me, it's aligning that passion, because passion within those things kind of come and goes for me. You know, like do you have a practice for gratitude? Or like, what is gratitude to me? Like, how do you keep gratitude
in my journal? I have to put down what I'm thankful every day. Every time, literally, it's a habit I've had since I was 15, and it happened. So, if you don't know, I DJ. So I've been a DJ since I was 15. I DJ'd all the high school parties because I have uncles who are musicians, and I tried to play everything. I tried to play the violin. I really want to play the drums, but my wife will not let me because she's not going to have it. You know, I tried piano and all this stuff, but I love music. And my Uncle Will had such a huge record collection that I would always listen to music. And they said I did this since I was little. Like when my parents had card parties and they had all these old 45s. Remember you had the stereo that looked like a big-ass piece of furniture? Yeah. So I would take the 45s. I didn't know what they were. I couldn't even read them, but I knew they had really cool covers. So I put the stack on the little thimble thing, and I would just watch how they react. So if they reacted to this record, I put it in this pile, and if they didn't react, and put it in that pile, and I put all the records they didn't react to back into the stereo. And I left the other pile sitting over here on this chair or something. So every week they come out, I just put that pile on it and watch people have a good time. Yeah. And I was like 5 or 6. I mean, so it was like, it was always a natural thing, and that was service, and I didn't realize till I just literally said it.
You know what you need to check out, not to derail you, but there's a company out of Austin called ATX.
Is it a record shop?
Yeah, record players.
Oh, no, I don't know. But I thought there's a record shop in Austin that's amazing.
They started out buying those old record consoles like you're talking about and refurbishing them.
I would put one of them in my house.
And putting like JBL speakers and stuff into them.
I would do that.
Bluetooth, they're decking them out. They rebuilt the old tube amps for them.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Dude, they're dope. Because
that's part of my story.
They're antiques. Like, yeah.
That's part of the story.
Like, they're legit as shit. They've started making their own now. But
well, my passion
just doing that.
With that, so it's kind of hard because my passion is DJing, I guess, but it's just it's like breathing to me. So I just do it, and I mean to humbly say it's effortless. It is not effortless because it's very hard now with today's music, and I'm being older.
Yeah.
So, because like I did a Sweet 16 party last week, and I was struggling. I made sure because it's not like the traditional ways of looking on the top 40 charts or, you know, I was in radio. I'll talk about that in a second. But you kind of knew what all the hot songs were. But now, you know, we had MTV, BET, and all that. Those stations don't even play music videos no more. So the kids are all getting their stuff from YouTube or from some channel, some mystical place, some wherever.
Some indie artists.
And we have no idea, but they know every word. So I have to know if it's old school, like anything 2000s and all the way back to the 70s, I got it. That's by memory. That's easy. But new stuff is hard because you don't know where the source is coming from. So that's where the work to that part of my craft comes from. But my passion, which I'm still chasing, is filmmaking. I've been fascinated by movies since day one. And even in my high school yearbook, I wrote to my mom that I was going to dedicate my first Oscar to her. And the path that I took is I always had a camera. When I was in the Army, I have 5 or 6 photo albums of just my life. I've always documented things in my life through photos. Just done it because my uncle was a photographer. And he did it. So I just picked up I had one uncle that's a musician, the other one that's a photographer. So we all grew up in my grandma's house. So I kind of got best of them. So went from high school DJing to the Army, you know, and I was electronic tech. So I fixed computers in the Army because I thought, hey, maybe this is something, even though I sucked at math, that'd help out. But I DJed when I wasn't at work in the Army because once you get past basic training and go to permanent party, you literally go to a 9 to 5 and then you're off. So I would DJ at the clubs on base, did that. I DJ'd in Germany, I DJ'd in Korea, I DJ'd all these other places that never stopped, and I would take photos. Got out of the Army, and then I took my computer background and I fixed credit card terminals for First National Bank.
Okay.
Just fixing credit card terminals. Got let go from that. Then I went and I got married and I started selling cars. Sold cars for like 6 years, did that. Got tired of that. Had a buddy start an alarm company. Everybody was in this big installing alarms thing. So I started doing sales for that and ended up DJing a party for a very popular guy at University of Nebraska, and a new radio station came to town. And one of his college friends was the program director. And even though they weren't allowing in Omaha, everybody else in the world had live DJs on the air. He wasn't doing it. And I had to find a way in. So I went and I started selling radio. So I was selling advertisements for the radio. And my other buddy I was doing the parties for said, hey, this dude is really good. Let him do a live radio. He said, I don't trust that. But he let me make a CD. He gave me all the records because, radio stations get in. So I got all the music I had everything. And I would make a 15-minute CD for everybody to drive home. And they was like, wait a minute. There's a live DJ on the radio in Omaha, Nebraska driving home. Oh, wow. They're like, nah, I'm kind of pre-recorded. Then it went to a 30-minute CD. Then it went to an hour-long CD. And one day I was like, hey, man, can I just bring my equipment in here and just leave it here and just do it live? I won't mess up. I know what I'm doing. And we ended up having the #1 time slot in the whole city. And it got to be so big, I started getting asked to do proms, started getting booked out. I was making way more money DJing on the air for an hour on the side than I was at my job there. So then I started getting endorsements. Like, my cable bill was free now because Cox Cable was giving me a cable bill. Hey, I'm Busy Bee. Get Cox Cable, because I listen. And it just started driving cars for free, started doing all this stuff. And one day my boss came to me and said, hey, you can't do both. You can't be earning a salary and all this stuff over here doing sales and then doing program. So you got to choose. Same thing, crossroads you hit. So if I went on the air, they can only pay me $9 an hour. $9 an hour. I got mortgage. I got family. I got all this stuff going on. I'm making about 50 grand over here. Which one? But then it's just, your gut says you can do something with this.
Yeah.
So I quit sales. I went full-time DJ, $9 an hour, just DJing 1 hour a week. But then he started grooming me to do an air shift. And I didn't, most people in radio in that time, you had to go to school for broadcasting and all that stuff. No, I was coming in through the basement. Right. I was just doing, experience. Mm-hmm. So I started doing weekend air shifts. I started learning how to program. Radios use clocks telling you when all this other stuff happens. And I still did my thing, and I became pretty popular. Then one day, literally Cloak and Dagger, a competing radio station was launching a new station. They said, we want an all-black urban station because Omaha didn't have one. The only time that you had black radio in Omaha is when I was on the air for that 1 hour. Right. Then everything else was Britney Spears and NSYNC. That's as close as we got.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I don't know how to be a pro. You really had to have like a bunch of radio experience and college to be a program director.
Yeah.
They just handed me the keys to a building and said, go for it. I walked in the building and was like, what do I do? And I had no support. I had no help. But luckily, a lot of guys, one was from here in Dallas, and all these other radio guys I kind of met, they all literally mentored me from other cities via email, via phone call, showed me what to do. They showed me the basics, and we took that radio station to the #1 spot. And it's still there to this day. But we created a radio station from the ground up. So then I went from making $9 an hour to where bought a brand new house out West Omaha, had everything. Wife was driving a 760. Man, the Jefferson's like crazy. And I did that for 13 years. And I never in my life thought that DJing would and then when the camera comes back into play, I started playing local artists on the radio, giving them a shot to have some exposure, and music videos and all that stuff started happening. So I bought a camera. I started shooting music videos because they said the best way to be a filmmaker, the practice is shoot music videos because they're 3-minute little mini movies.
Yeah.
Started shooting music videos on the side. So running the radio station, DJing on the weekend, and doing music videos for everybody. Now, at this point, I never took one picture with the camera. It was all for video. Then on my birthday, I got called into the office. Budget cuts happened. And I'm like, how can you fire the black dude, the face of the black radio station? And it's like this. Here's your severance package and you're gone. It was over. It was done. I was out of there. And I'm like, out of 13 years of doing that, I knew nothing but radio. I had no other skill set in mind. I'm sitting here freaking out, and I looked at the camera, and I'm like, okay, let's. I went to work and did marketing for a local stereo shop because I'm really big into car stereo. So I did that, but I started learning the camera more. Then I went to college. I said, you know what? I'm a vet. I get free school. I went, got a degree in photography. We opened up a photography studio. And it did really well for the first 2 years, but then I noticed the city was too small to really make money because it's, per capita, there's 1 million photographers in there and everybody's on the cheap. I'm trying to charge you maximum price because of how good my work is when everybody else is like, well, we'll take mediocre work for less money versus paying you your value.
Yeah.
And literally, there's a company in Omaha they were a wedding company, and they had affiliates all over the country, and they had one in Dallas. And I've been trying to move to Dallas forever. And I was just like, hey, you have anything down in Dallas? They said, yeah, we need a video photography guy down there. Bad. Gut feeling once again. So this is another pivotal point. Yeah. Wife just got a brand new job at a construction company doing numbers. Kids were good. Everything here was all right, but I just felt like I hit the ceiling so hard that I had a concussion. And I couldn't do anything else. So now you make the choice of use your common sense, use your gut. Do you take the path of least resistance?
Yeah.
Or do you take a leap of faith?
Yeah.
And we drove down here. We met with the guy, said, I can use you, da-da-da-da-da. And my wife was not on board at all. She's like, hell no, I'm cool right here. Her family's there, everybody. I said, all our family's here, but there's better opportunities. She's like, nah, we don't know that, blah, blah, blah. And just, it was a fight and a struggle. And one day, I'm going to call this an executive decision, but it was really kind of like suicide because I just like, look, woman, there's going to be a U-Haul outside. Next week, you're going to be on it or you're not. I sold all my prized possessions and was loading it up. And that last day that me and my brother were loading the U-Haul up with just my stuff, she comes outside with one of her things, puts it on the truck. She comes outside with another of her things. I'm like, are you going? She's like, quoted Bad Boys. We ride together, we die together. And we moved down here, and the rest is like history. Yeah, but I went through all those different phases in life, and every pivotal point, I think, in everybody's life is literally just one gut decision. And I mean, and it was bad. When we got here, it was bad. For the first 2 years, it was like, why did I do this? Why did I come down here? What's going on? My wife had a stroke. The job wasn't what it was. All these crazy things happened, but then, as you talked about earlier, you stick to it. Things start happening. They start turning around. But I mean, and more than that, I think the problem is that when you run into those things, they come all the time. I mean, we go through seasons. I'm coming out of a season right now because I've been in a funk a little bit just because of being around a lot of affluent people. It makes you like, man, I want to do this. Man, I want to do that. Man, why can't I have money like him? Why can't I drive what he got? Why can't I have this? And I had to stop worrying about other people's shit and just being like, what do you bring? What do you have? And also, the biggest thing is this.
And what makes you happy? Just because you have those things too does not mean it's going to make you happy.
Why am I not grateful and thankful for what I have? Because I have a lot more than other people do.
I struggle with that a whole lot. Like that is something that, like, that's why I asked you about gratitude earlier. Because like, that's something I'm trying to work on really hard because it's like, some of the times when I get in one of my funks, like I was telling you about earlier and we were talking about, I have to like really take a step back and just enjoy being, like kind of.
Well, you taught me that when you journal. Why don't you write down the things that you did? Like, we think about what we don't have. What do you have?
That's another problem probably lately. I've been so focused on getting my health in check and getting in shape.
This is part of that.
I'm with you, but I've let the journaling and stuff slack lately, and that's probably a big part of my being up in my head.
Going out of town tomorrow, I'm gonna do that tomorrow.
Not putting those things down because like just taking a moment to sit back and be thankful for what you do have. I have to make time for that. Like I don't do that enough, and just sit back and like.
Just having your health alone when there's people that are in dialysis and all these other things.
All
I mean,
this
just
stuff,
all those
man.
things.
Yeah.
They're not worried about none of the shit that we complaining about we don't have.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
have to say that out loud to yourself to be like, you watch the news and see all this shit that's going on, and you
Yeah.
have to look around you and be like, shit, I'm thankful I have everything, and we are where we are.
Or
I
you
mean,
just get caught up in the few bad things that are going on. You know, like I recently, I'm not going to go into this because this would start so much stuff, but like, a tough decision had to be made at work. And it wasn't how I saw things happening or going. I was upset about it at first, and then it went bad, and it got worse. And now I'm kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit. And I've got to add to my team, and I've got to do some things to make life go back to where it's easier, it's more productive.
So reach into that bag of experiences of life you've already been in.
Right. But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, but it's real easy for a lot of people. That's why I wanted to talk about it to this extent, was one or two little bad things can make you lose sight of all the good. And if you don't take some kind of time or way to have some kind of gratitude practice, or just something that to sit back and be thankful for all the things you do have, you can get caught up in that. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle, and they get caught in that. I do it from time to time. I have to sit back and look like, I've got an awesome wife. I have an awesome family. Most people in my family have really great health now.
And I think that's where the biggest thing is, when we talked earlier about you are who you surround yourself with. Because now, if you have a support group, because I have negative Nancy's in my life that I've kind of pretty much let go. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that you gravitate towards that bullshit if you keep it on. So now whatever your situation is now, you would just be on the negative end of that. But when you have more of positive people, positive things, you're always going to find the solution.
Well, sometimes you got to make time for that too, because you can have people in your life too, or family that starts going through some stuff, and if that's negative or causing negative things, that adds stress to your relationship and other things that add that on top of it. You really have to make time to be grateful for the other good things.
Well, the one thing I know that helps is everybody. I don't care if it's Sarah, if it's you, if it's this, is that me. I now desire just moments to recharge.
Yeah.
You have to take a break and recharge. And that's
For
one
sure.
thing my wife is so off the chain with. When I went through a rough spot right after my dad died, and I had all these responsibilities, and she's like, and I had to go do an event out of town, and the event got canceled, but I still had the plane ticket.
Yeah.
And she's like,
I remember this.
She said, yo, go sit in a hotel, journal, do whatever, be by yourself. She says, go unplug for 2 or 3 days since the plane ticket is still there, and reset yourself. And I'm looking at her, why don't you do it? Because she won't, but she's kind of built way
this
different.
Cat still worked, by the way, though. But what he's saying, though, you also need to find a good friend too, like checks in on you and stuff like that, and have those people around you too. Because I know this cat was still working. Like, we all told him, like, go do you, like, bro, go.
It's that busy work of commitment, worrying about everybody else.
Hotel, you do you. But it's like, even I remember sending you a text message.
You did check on me. You did.
I was like, yo, stop doing biz.
I was laughing because I was editing something. I was doing something.
I know you're still doing biz.
And I was like, I had to put my laptop, like, click. Damn. First of all, the first thing I did, I looked around the room. Yeah. I said, this dude got cameras and something like, and I had to like stop it. And I went and called my boys up. We went and had a cigar, and we sat and we laughed about childhood. And I really do think that when you are filled with you got to take time to get to know yourself. Yeah. Because you can solve anything, but for me, it's just hard to turn not even the bees in the can buzzing like journaling, but it's like literally even today, and I love my mom to death and everything, and I'm just like, look, everybody, I'm off.
Yeah.
For the next 24 hours, I do not exist.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, I am going to just lose myself. I can't be no good to you if I don't know me.
Yeah, you're kind of hitting it too. Like, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me and Sarah a lot of times is when I do that, she can't do that. or when she does it, I can't do it.
But that's fair enough, though. If somebody picks up the weight while the other one is taking the back, that's cool.
But I feel like, too, relationship-wise, too, like, we need to find some time where, like, both of us do that. And, yeah, Brian, you're freaking right on, man. Like, Cancun, yeah, we're definitely doing that. We're definitely going to do a little recharging down there. He said to tell you sorry for your loss with your father, too, by the way.
Oh, good. Appreciate it, man.
Not acknowledge that.
Oh, no, it's circle of life.
Well, let's tell everybody a little bit about what happened yesterday.
Yesterday was very interesting. So this is a part of it. This was an idea that you had. You literally had an idea, and you said, "I want to do this." And now, as it's coming to fruition, and we kind of did. If anybody tuned in yesterday, we went on a sneak peek live thing to where we're looking at another show.
Yeah,
and this is kind of bringing back the age of MTV Unplugged, and it's giving exposure to artists and getting back to the roots of music.
I just got goosebumps.
Music. And I was like, I'm very optimistic, so I'm like going into this. But once we went into this venue and seeing how it was set up, and everybody was so welcome and open, and some friend of Garrett's came in and they played and they were off the chain. I was like, damn, this is good. And to see it, to talk with them, to hear their story. And it reminds me of this podcast because you got a chance to get into the world, and we will have that episode.
Yeah,
we actually did it live,
but we're
going to download the episode so you can see it. But to see the thing of giving artists a chance to get exposure that's a little more focused on them so they don't get lost in the minutia of everybody. Because I remember the world where you had to have talent in order to get a shot. Instead of now any and everybody can get online and just put whatever out. I think this gets back into the focus of it. And it's really a great way to give exposure to something that's... I got an education of the music scene here in Dallas. I was back in the other room talking with other musicians, and I was like, I had no clue they had all these spaces where people get together and jam and what they do and where it's at. Arlington is starting to really come up with the live music scene. So I think this idea that you have birthed is going to turn into something big.
I hope so, man. I think we're on to something here. I think it's, I'm going to put it out there for everybody that watches and listens to this podcast. If you've got a product or a company, whatever, you want to get sponsored and you want to be a part of this, reach out. You can hit me up at Garrett@commonsensethepodcast.com. The website's going to be launching real soon. It's going to have a schedule on it where you guys are going to be able to see who the upcoming guests are. And what I think that this isn't firm yet because we're just now, this is all starting to come together a little bit more now. So if you guys tuned in, like I gave you the heads up on a couple weeks ago last night, my friend's band, my good friend Matt Hinchy, he brought his band out, Mockingbird. They're really good local live music. You guys should check them out. They don't gig a lot. They gig pretty hard in the fall when it's nice outside, and they'll have a full album coming out. They just did a little EP that came out. I think it's got 5 or 6 songs on it. Don't quote me on that, but it's really good. You can find Mockingbird on all your major platforms. Check them out. They're really great, even better live. But what we did is we found a space that we may do some combination podcasts for. So I don't know if it's going to have a separate name for, say, on the shows that involve this, because it's going to be strictly about music. We're going to bring bands in. I have a lot of connections. Biz has a lot of connections to local musicians, artists. And we're going to literally bring back MTV Unplugged.
There it is.
We're going to bring it back in a sense that we're going to get local bands to come in, raw, live, acoustic. We're going to put on a show for you guys. I don't know if this is going to be once a month, every other week.
But we'll have a schedule up.
We'll have a schedule up. The schedule will go up. I'm not going to announce the name of it yet, just because I got to finish securing all that and making sure that's all tied up so nobody steals that name, because I've had that name for, I don't know, 7 to 10 years now.
It's time.
It's time. So like,
now we do have a trademark lawyer.
I'm gonna I'm gonna talk to the trademark guy. We're gonna get the trademark stuff done on the name for it. Get the domains bought so we can link that up. But what's gonna happen is when we announce this new name for the music show, you guys will see that highlighted on the, when we launch the website fully, that'll come out, and you'll see that, where on a certain week, you won't see a guest set up there. You'll see the show name and what band is coming on. And that'll be an interactive thing. You guys will be able to, when we get this all sorted out, you will be able to have a subscription, and you can log in. You can watch the event live, watch the whole performance. It'll be a full music production show, video, sound, the whole kit and caboodle. You can watch it in your backyard. You can watch it at home on your TV. Wherever you can log in, you can log in and watch this. So it'll be followed by a podcast with the band. There will be opportunity to submit. We're gonna have different levels of membership where you guys can log in and you can send in questions if you want to, the band, or you want to ask the band certain questions. We'll pop that in. I will be interacting with the band throughout the set, and kind of, and there'll be live albums put out if the band chooses from these shows. So that's going to be more on a band by band decision, I think, because some of them have different agreements and contracts and stuff like that. But that live raw footage will be there for them to use how they would like at the end of the day, putting that out there. So if any of you listening or watching this have interest in the music side of this and have bands you want to recommend, you want to refer to us, you want to put out there, send them our way. Happy to talk with them. Again, you can hit me up at Garrett at commonsensethepodcast.com. It's direct email to me. You hit me up on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, however you're connected to us, feel free to reach out, and we'll start entertaining more of this. And it's going to start, I would imagine you'll probably see your next first real live show. I'm shooting for either July or September. I'm probably going to be September-ish because that'll be the anniversary of 1 full year of podcasting here. So September is kind of my end goal. If we can get something together before then and do something in July, that might happen. But it's not like we're going to start a whole nother podcast and it's just going to be another thing for now. We're going to gradually build this thing up. It'll be a part of this show. So 1 week you might just have a guest in here like you guys are used to seeing. Next week you might have a full-on show, and we'll keep you apprised as those things change.
Well, it was fun putting you on the hot seat. I'm gonna get over here for producer's duty as you rap and do what you do, how you do whatever.
We still got a good 15.
I don't even know. I'm not even used to, I'm so used to looking at that watch. I don't know. Good. It just felt like it.
We ain't gonna cut them off that short. We'll keep rolling for a few.
My bad. I don't know what time.
You're good. 7:30.
Oh man, I'm thinking it's like 7. Time goes by.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it goes fast when you're in here. But we're gonna put all that stuff out there. If you guys got questions, hit us up on here. Send us some stuff over. We're happy to answer that stuff. We are also. It may come to a point here in the next few months where we don't do the live. You guys might just get the show put out. That's up for debate right now. So those of you that tune in regularly, if you really are enjoying the live and you want that to keep rolling, let me know. We may add that as part of the subscription service where you can, we do a live for those members on a certain level of membership or something like that. But with the changes that are happening at ICC over the next few months, we don't know exactly how we're going to pump all that together. But we are going to keep doing this. It's going to evolve a little bit, and you're going to get more. Is the moral of that story. So you're gonna get more music added into here, and it won't just be the guests like you guys have had in the past. You'll have the band. So they're really digging it. If you guys go back and check out my live feed on Facebook, it's up on YouTube as well. I went live at the show yesterday, so you guys can kind of get a sneak peek of the main space. Where we're hoping to put all this together and rock and roll from there.
True. It's going to be dope.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. I mean, I've been trying to find a way to make this work for a long time, and bootstrapping all of this myself right now is a lot. But we're gonna keep partnering up with people and see what we can put together. Because I think between you and me, we're gonna rock this.
No, yeah. Yesterday's test was great. So as we kind of fine tune that, be perfectly fine.
Well, man, what do you want to end on? What we want to scare all the sponsors off and talk about something taboo, or what are we gonna do here?
Honestly, I think that just diving in more a little bit, getting to put switch roles for a second was kind of cool. So I don't want to. It's golden where it's at for me, because we covered a topic that started one way, then really got center pointed on another way. And it's almost like I don't want to taint it. Like it's perfect where it's at.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys this. Well, we're going to wrap this one up here a little bit early, but a lot of you have been asking for me to bring on more industry people. So
industry like what? Like
industry and multifamily. So with what I do with construction, I've been asked a lot. People want me to bring on more people from the ownership management side. They've enjoyed when I've done that. They want me to bring in other people within the industry that are affiliates, partners, providers, suppliers. I'm going to be bringing up a lot of those people. I'm working on it now. Next week, I'm going to have Mike Folis in here. So I'm going to say about that for right now, but you guys asked for it. Him and I hooked up at the state trade show this year and talked about it. He was game to come on, so I'm going to bring Mike on here. Those of you in the industry, most of you know who Mike is. He's been on every damn board